Aloha, guys. Aloha from the big island of Hawaii. I'm here with my friend and beautiful client, Eric Bowman. He's the loan officer for Feed the Hunger Fund. And today we're going to be talking about how small businesses owners can get financing. That's a super exciting topic. And I'm so grateful that Eric is going to be providing you guys with all knowledge, all of his tools, and all of the things that he does as a loan officer for this beautiful organization. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maly. It's an honor to be here.
Eric, can you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and what do you do for the Feed the Hunger Fund?
Absolutely, Maly. So I live here in Hilo, but we work around the islands. We are a community development financial institution that provide loans to owner-operators, particularly in the food and agriculture sector primarily, but also when it's appropriate to other sectors also. Our average loan size is about $80,000. So, we can do very small loans, just a piece of equipment for $5,000 up to $250 for maybe a larger expansion or project like that.
That is amazing. Eric, tell the audience a little bit of how you got started with the organization and a little bit about your passions for agriculture and helping the community.
Absolutely. So I've worked around agriculture for almost 20 years now, which makes me sound a lot older than I actually feel. Oh yeah, thanks for sharing this photo here. So after college, I started working with agricultural co-ops. And you'll see there that picture down there in the bottom, that's me in El Salvador on behalf of USAID. We attempted to start a low-income credit union there in Olympia, Washington. And then for several years, I worked around commercial real estate on mobile home. We would form a resident corporation and purchase the land under the properties. That's me over there in Moses Lake. And so all this experience gave me a lot of insight into markets that are kind of underserved, where people who I'm trying to say people who would struggle to access capital, either they're low income or they're minority, or particularly Hawaii agriculture is farmers and food-based businesses struggle to acquire capital. So frequently that's where they come to us, is after they visited the banks, they've been referred to us maybe by the USDA. And for whatever reason, we're able to work with them when other people cannot.
That is amazing. And you know what, Eric, and we talked about this briefly, but not a whole lot of people know about these services and know that, when all doors have closed, you guys could probably provide a solution. And so can you talk a little bit about what type of businesses are the ones that are reaching you guys the most, and where do you guys step in to help out a business owner in need?
Absolutely. And, I'm so glad you brought up that point about people who here know. I think a lot of people who aren't in finance just think you're either worthy or you're not worthy, black or white. But one lender's no might be another one's yes. Every lender has a different box. And so that's our box, is marginal. They've received rejections from elsewhere. They're struggling to get across the finish line for this project. So that might not have answered your question. So some of the businesses that are finding us is just last week, it's very unusual for us to do a real estate loan, but we had a rancher who had a 45-acre ranch on the south part of this island and had received 3 rejections. One from a bank that just doesn't do ag, period. Another
Right.
one from the Farm Service Agency, they don't do refinancing. And then another one, her farm income had been negative because she'd been investing in it. So she had seller financing, so a lot of equity in the property. So we were able to come in and do a 7-year term loan
Wow.
to take out the seller, his seller financing was expiring at the end of 3 years. So that's kind of a good example where it's a food producer developing infrastructure, not residential, not consumer, but commercial, and we were able to come in and really, I think, what sets us apart is that we're flexible with our underwriting criteria. We're flexible in the documentation that we can accept. We're a portfolio lender, so that means we're not selling. We're making the loan. We're holding it. So we're very invested in the success of the business. We're not just sending it off to a secondary market. So that enables us to be flexible and to really take our time with each borrower and to take more risk, frankly.
Right. And I think, I can speak of your behalf, like you're so creative also, that I think that you need a strong partner on the other side when you're facing these type of difficulties, somebody that can think outside the box. And I mean, for people that are, I mean, I know you personally, and I know you're a creative thinker by heart. But not only that, I mean, you pair it beautifully with the fact that you're very invested into making these business owners succeed. And not a whole lot. I mean, you can write up loans for people and you can kind of help out, but when you're like, when you're emotionally invested for them, and you're really wanting agriculture to thrive on the island, that's a beautiful match, right? So you have your heart invested in it. You want the best for the business owner. You want them to thrive, and that's and you're coming up with creative solutions to where other people probably just stop at, oh well, this is not possible, so then that's the end. Move on.
Absolutely. The biggest compliment I received, one of the biggest compliments, was from a sushi restaurant owner. And he said that one of the best things that happened to him is he'd been denied at the bank. And then he went to, I think you interviewed Dennis Boyd, who I work with pretty closely
Yes.
in one of your interviews. That led him
Yes.
to Dennis to be like, oh gosh, this is my dream. I think he tried opening multiple restaurants before, but this is the one this is it. This was what he was going to do. And
Right.
he was like, getting that denial led me to Dennis, that led me to you, that opened up this whole other world of possibility that I didn't even know was out there. And
Wow.
we just did our second loan to him so he could open his second sushi restaurant. He opened in the darkest hour of the pandemic. I thought it was crazy to be opening up a restaurant then,
Wow.
but it was right place, right time, and takeout just helped. Just he had a good with the takeout orders. He was able to have a very successful business. But this is at a moment when other banks were really going yikes. Like everything was on ice. And we were like, let's get in there. There's a lot of need out there.
Whoa. And you know what? And talking to other business owners, Eric, what you're saying is so true. They have taken a lot of risk. Back in 2020, when everything was shutting down, there were a lot of business owners that were fully investing into, how can I improve my operations? How can I open up a second location, perhaps start doing catering, and then moving on to just opening doors once the regulations lifted. But yeah, that's a beautiful story. So that's where, you guys, for anybody watching this video and watching us live, it pays to have a strong partner on the other side that is fully invested in your success. If you start feeling that you're getting nowhere, oh, here we have a user from Manitoba, Canada. Aloha. Aloha. Yeah, so it pays to have a strong partner on the other side, like Eric, and yeah, you're. I mean, in your brain, Eric, you operate differently than most people that I've met. You're very analytical and very sharp, very smart. You are. So what are the most common mistakes that you've seen when business owners apply for a loan?
I would say lack of record keeping, not having just a basic level of documentation of your income and expenses. And so, we are we're a nonprofit loan fund. We get money from private foundations. We actually, Kamehameha Schools has invested some money in us. A lot of money that we're lending is coming from the government. So we're able to do some things other lenders cannot. But I'm thinking specifically of a business owner that I was working with on Kauai.
Hmm.
Ask her for a profit and loss statement. She's almost like, "What's that?" And
How do you
she
eat
gets
it?
on our block once a year, and he hands them back a bunch of bank statements and chicken scratch, and then they hand over tax returns. So we can lend on tax returns. That's a formal. You're testing to the government that that's what happened.
Right.
But she was telling me the chicken scratch, and I was like, "Oh my goodness." This is very difficult to understand what's going on, but we'll work with the Small Business Development Center. We'll
Wow.
hold their hand. We'll take the time to get to the bottom of it, to figure out, all right, do we really, send me the bank statements. Let's back this up. What is this really, is what I'm seeing what is really happened? And I would say that is a step that most commercial lenders would not go through.
Right. And you know what? And wouldn't you agree that perhaps, like, for speaking to that specific business owner, I mean, granting that at least 70% of the business owners have their record keeping in place, but for the other 30 or 40%, right, that are watching out there that don't have that are, very invested in the business and cannot keep track of their expenses and income, another resource that it's free, totally free. It's what, Eric?
Are you talking about the Small Business Development Center?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Great resource, because then they can handle the education to the business owner, and then you can help them with the funding for their dreams or for their expansion, right? So having that partnership going, guys, it is key to your success if your doors have been closed before. Um, do you see that a lot of local people are like wanting to expand, or or you're starting to see that the people that have moved here recently are the ones that are reaching to you the most? What will you say?
I would say because of the work that I do, almost I would say 90% of who we work with is local.
Mm,
We do work with some people who they maybe been on the islands quite a while. Um, Very unusual. Because of the chaos investment, we've done some lending on some of their lease land. So we lent to an off-island farmer who purchased a lease of a coffee farm that had been um, it burned down. So they're in the process of rebuilding, rehabbing, dealing with the coffee leaf rust, et cetera. Um, but in that instance, very focused on agriculture, off-island owner, getting ready to move here. Definitely the exception that makes the rule. I'd say the particularly local business owners, in my experience, are a little bit more debt averse. They've been through the business cycles here. A lot of people's wealth is tied up in their home. There's not a lot of net worth outside the home,
that's true.
and they're how do I say? The dream is like, I'm going to start this operation. I'm going to build myself a job. So it's almost like a micro enterprise. They're going to start a shop and they're going to work in it and they're going to do the retailing.
Right.
Occasionally, somebody's coming in to have a little shop on a Lee Drive, but particularly because of our focus on food and agriculture, food sovereignty, uh,
First.
we, we have disproportionately, our borrowers are women, Hawaiians, minorities, and
Mm.
people who are are not as comfortable with the traditional financing environment.
Wow. So there's more work on the education side of things when you take on a client like that, right? Now, would you say that most of the people that reach out to get these services are farms more than the standard, business that we know? Like, would it be more like on the farm side? Are they more like people that have like, you know, big operations of coffee that are wanting to expand or?
We work close. So I would say the number one lender to ag in the state, and in actually most of rural America, is the farm credit system. Here it's American Ag Credit. Most of the farms that I'm aware of are getting financing through Linus guys at American Ag Credit.
Mm,
There's the USDA. They do a lot of lending into ag, and I would say we're kind of on the edges of those
mm,
two larger players, but for farms. So we're really leaning into that. I mean, that's in our name, feed the hunger. Our CEO really defines that as also the hunger within. People just trying to make a go of it.
mm,
Maybe that's a jewelry business. Um,
right.
but we do have an interest in specifically food businesses. So that can
Right.
range from food production, food processing, distribution, retailing. Um, I've got to be nervous about what I put out there. We've done a couple loans to physical therapists, and I asked
Yeah.
one of them, and I said, "So what does this have to do with the food sector?" And she was like, "Oh my goodness, um, uh, like 40% of our my clients are farmers, farm workers,
Wow.
professor UH that teaches in agriculture, delivery drivers that move food around, restaurant workers," and it sort of made me realize that
Wow.
the food system is pretty much the economy, right? And in
Wow.
that case, for the physical therapist, the argument was also that she was enabling people to get back to work, back on the farm, back
Yes.
delivering food sooner, reduce their healthcare costs, either post surgery, post injury, or just with some issue that they've been dealing with. So uh, our board has directed us go out and do more lending to non-food based businesses, and we're still, I think, about 98% of what we do is in food and agriculture.
That is amazing. Wow. And you know what? And these are things that people don't even have in their radar, right? That all these workers, they do need the physical therapy at times, and they need medical assistance. And yeah, wow. I'm so amazed. Now, how do you determine the best loan options for small business owners? What is your determination? Because I know you're so like analytical, and I can only picture you, Eric, when you get the application and you like go dive deep, like, but how do you make that assessment to whether, I can see a belly laugh there, but
Well, 'cause you say I'm analytical, but you really that means anxious,
no, no, no,
because
no, no,
with
no,
all the
you're
public things, I'm like
beyond
surprised by all the
analytical.
stuff.
No, 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 Eric. No, but I can so picture you getting the application and then diving all right in. So, how do you make that analysis to whether you're able to help out this business owner or not?
Great question. So, we take, at the end of the day, we are a debt service coverage lender. So we're looking at repayment. We're not an asset. We take assets as collateral, and we analyze that. We look at primarily historic income. We can balance that with what we think is going to happen moving forward. So with that in mind, we'll take a look at what we think their operation can support in terms
Mm,
of a loan payment. Our interest rate is currently just fixed at 4%, so that makes it pretty simple. We were Our cost of funds is currently low, so our lending is currently low. Also, it might go up moving forward, so don't not quote me on that rate.
right.
Max that we can lend, because we're primarily doing um, capital expenditures, so like maybe building a fence or a building or equipment, or we're doing working capital.
Mm,
So that max loan term is 7 years. We have done some things where we've gone out for a longer amortization period, so there'll be a balloon payment.
right.
So, to your question is, what do we do that works for the borrower? Is
Right.
we will try and find the money they need to do the project at the lowest rate possible, which may be with us, which may be somewhere else. We do a lot. We actually have done, say, a bit of co-lending with those other lenders I mentioned, DBED, some government agencies, and so I guess we'll just take a very close look at whatever the situation is that the small business is in, and try and match their needs. Last comment I'll have on this is seeing a lot of high interest debt, credit cards, enormous sums of money on, 80, $90,000 on a variety of credit cards at 30% interest, for an operation that just cannot support that kind of interest expense. Maybe it
Right.
was a good idea that they engaged in that debt to get over some hump or tackle some project, but now they're at this new level and they're going to be dealing with that interest expense. They'll never outrun it. So we do refinance some high interest debt to try and
Yeah.
pull the transaction together. A lot
Oh,
of
that
times
is
they'll approach
beautiful.
it for one thing, but then you put all the pieces on the table and it's like, oh my goodness, they're in a, I'm just making up a crazy scenario, but they're in a personal collections situation over here. They're in arrears on some other situation here. They haven't dealt with this. They're in high interest debt over here. Yeah, they need to tackle all that. They need to get their business more profitable. So they need the freezer or whatever it is that they're trying to purchase. So how do we connect the dots between those two business challenges?
Right. Wow, that is, I mean, it really sounds like you have a lot of moving pieces before even making a determination. What is the time period? How much it'll usually take you to say, well, you know what, I'm going to be able to like help this person out, or we're, like like a month or two
Very good
months?
question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think there was a slight lag there. It's a very good question. Yeah, because time is money, right? And
Yes.
some of the reasons that small business owners have that high interest debt is because it's very convenient to go to one of these online lenders or to take out a PayPal loan.
Yes.
Boom, it just shows up the next day.
True.
Um, Best case scenario, absolute best case scenario, everything is ready and submitted to me on a Friday morning, Monday morning, and I can write things up, get it out to the loan committee by Wednesday, and then we meet every other Friday. So if they hit me, at the right part of that cycle, where I have the capacity to do the analysis, it could be pretty quick.
Right.
I've taken up to 13 months with somebody who a lot of that was on them. Like they weren't ready, the taxes weren't done, they
Right.
needed to pull the P&L together, they didn't have the business plan ready, they didn't have the contractor bids, they didn't need the money, but it was just, we're there holding their hand,
Right.
providing technical assistance all along the way. I would say on average 2 to 3 weeks. If
Okay.
people if somebody usually if somebody's like, hey, do you think I can do this, the first thing I'll say is send me your P&L. Like nothing will, no, I can't. If I see a P&L and a balance sheet, I can get to the bottom of things in
Yeah.
about 15 minutes. Then it's like, well, then let me see your taxes. and particularly with farms and some small business owners back to financial records, a lot of people, the next thing they start telling me is all the cash sales and tax evasion they engage in. I'm like, I don't want to, I can't, it isn't helping. I'm trying to get an accurate picture of what's going on in the business with the
Right.
P&L.
So no
Very
life
misleading.
story. Do not submit your life story and all your warrants. We don't want to know that.
I like the life story. I can't take income that's off the books
Right.
as
We call them they have a lender mattress money. Nope.
yes.
Right. No mattress
I had
money
one
here.
small business owner mentioned to me the other day, he's like, well, I got $40,000 in cash. And I thought, I don't even want to know how you got that much money in cash.
It's probably
I'm sure it was nothing illegal. It was, just cash transactions that were yet to be recorded as part of the,
right. We
yeah.
have another hi here from Elvin. Says aloha, Miss Molly. Aloha, Elvin. Thank you so much for watching. Well, guys, if you have any questions for us, feel free to let us know. But yeah, I mean, Eric, that's such great information. That is amazing, the work that you do. And I paid close attention. You said it takes you 13 minutes to read a P&L. Like 13. You guys, I'm telling you, Eric.
Well, I'm mostly going to the, you're going to the bottom line, like, is there the revenue? And then you're
Right.
going to got to back up, like, are they burying depreciation? Are they taking money out as an owner? Um, you know, I usually, because back to small, I mean, nobody becomes a farmer because they like bookkeeping.
Right.
So, probably actually one of the best balance sheets I've seen recently was out of QuickBooks, beautiful. And then there was just a bunch of handwritten notes, like, this is wrong because of this. I don't even know what this is
Oh.
about. And just like, I was like, well, that's great, because normally I'd be coming to you with all these questions, and you just preempted
Right.
all that.
Right. I do not know who entered this. It might have been my 5-year-old. Oh, the things that you see, Eric, I can only envision it. So, can you share a very challenging deal that you've had to deal with, and how did you troubleshoot it, and how you guys were able to secure the financing for this very very challenging client or business that pops into your mind?
Yes, actually, one comes to mind, and this is highly unusual. Um, but we had I don't want to breach confidentiality, so forgive me if
No, no,
I
no
give
names.
details. Is that it was a farm for sale, and for sale by owner. Uh, One of the lenders joked that they did not get this is a plug for you. They did not get a realtor, so they ended up getting an attorney. And the seller tried pulling out of the transaction. They had a very long escrow because the Farm Service Agency, the USDA, 60-day plus escrows are not uncommon,
Right.
and just decisioning takes a long time. And at some point in time during that, the seller was like, you know what, I think I want more money. And they went into arbitration. It got a little ugly back and forth. And so ultimately there was two lenders, the two people I mentioned previously, American Ag Credit and the USDA. And so I should mention the USDA covers closing costs. Farm appraisal is like $5,000 to cover closing costs, and they'll do 100%. So this is no money down for the buyer. And this is it's called $800,000 loan,
Mm.
and cash flow could support it. Resume from the buyer was strong. He'd been managing a neighboring farm, doing a very good job at that. Was going to keep doing that and take on this other farm as his primary residence. So, anyways, we were able to come in and provide a working capital loan to cover the legal fees that were a result of the arbitration. So
Oh,
the one of the lenders said to me, Eric, if you guys hadn't come to the table, this deal would have fell through. So we were able to perfect a
wow.
real estate transaction
Wow.
by doing a loan. I'm not gonna. We were able to. I can't even remember if we had much collateral in that. I think we're taking collateral of, like, you have a motorcycle. How much is your gun worth? Like, we're just trying to find $7,000 of collateral by just making a personal items list.
Right.
Because we
Right.
couldn't be part of the real estate transaction. So that one we did a 30-year amortization, which is how the payments are drawn out, and a 7-year balloon. the
Hmm.
anticipation that there's going to be a refinancing at some point in time in the next 5 to 7 years that's going to take
Mm.
us out.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. And you come through to when these situation arises, and I can only picture how grateful they are that you have saved the deal, right? I mean, just imagine if it wasn't for you and the organization. I mean, they have to start from scratch and, start looking at other properties, stop expansion or stop operations, or their dreams are totally gone, move off island, right? I mean, the impact that you have cast on that person, it wasn't only for that person, but also for the family of that family, right? So, I mean, it's just, it's incredible. And I thank you so much for sharing. And we do not want to know names or what. I mean, I kind of want to know, but I don't want to know. But what advice would you give a small business owner that is seeking financing for the first time?
Well, I mean, it sounds weird to like promote somebody else. I'm going to have to let Dennis know how much we bigged him up here. If you're totally new to financing, you've never taken out a loan, calling Small Business Development Center cannot
Yes.
hurt. They're a huge partner of ours. They're a major source of referrals. Um,
Yes.
and or just call me. I mean, I often tell people just like I am more than willing to spend an hour with somebody on the phone to hear their story, find out where they're coming from, and figure out whether or not they what they might qualify for.
Right.
And there are people that move here just with the intention of like, I'm going to live in Hawaii and I'm going to either sell the business that I'm operating on the continent, or I'm going to purchase a business, step into it, operate it for 3 to 5 years, and then sell it and then do something else. That's like a life chapter for some people.
Right.
Um, so why was I saying that? Is that I think if people are trying to, I feel like commercial credit here is, and I don't use this word lightly, like it's jammed up, it's
Mm.
constipated. Things that should be moving aren't moving. I've seen people come to me with loan denials, government employee, six-figure income, real estate holdings on the mainland, and $100,000 loan to start a business for their spouse.
Right.
And
Not
I'm
unreasonable.
looking at not unreasonable. I'm looking. Their monthly income is like $15,000 a month. I'm like, how
Right.
how how is uh, ultimately they were able to get a loan through I think Central Pacific Bank, but
Mm.
they knocked on some other lenders' doors, and I was astonished. I was astonished
Right.
at the rejections that they were getting.
Right. 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 Do you think that it has to do with the line of work or with the, um, well, I mean, God knows really what they're looking at. But to your point is that when people try to get other resources and they're just not getting the help, then they come to you and you're willing and happy to kind of listen into what it is that they have going on and see if there's a way to help them out. Um, are there resources online that they can go and search on their own before calling you on the
Good.
website or?
Yes, we
Okay,
absolutely we do have a website,
good.
and you'll find I think you'll find the names of the team, kind of some of the lending activities that some client stories. We have a YouTube channel where we've profiled some of our borrowers. We've got a beautiful photo, a beautiful little video of Mills and the Waimea Butcher Shop, who we've worked with, and then a nice restaurant. Forgetting the name of it because it's on Oahu. And then so we're a very small organization. There's about half a dozen employees. There's 2 loan officers in Hawaii and then 2 loan officers in the Central Valley of California. So some of the stories that you'll see are also about the, the, the the businesses in California that have gotten a loan from us.
Wow, that is beautiful. So, like, if somebody wanted to explore more about your organization, they can go online and they can search through the videos and kind of get inspired by the success stories that you've had, and then get in touch with you with, But mainly, guys, if you're watching this, take note that that finance is first, right? For you to even dive deep. So PNL, that's the name. So, hi, how are you, PNL? So get your P&L ready, then contact Eric, and then talk story about what it is that you have going on. How do you work with small business owners, operators to secure the financing for their businesses? Is the work that you do more like hands-on? Do you meet them at their locations? Do you meet in person? Is it all over the phone? How is that interaction? What will people expect when calling you?
Great question. I do not get out of the house, the home
Mm,
office, nearly enough. I'm enthusiastic when people want to meet in person. I get a little busy sometimes, so people are like, "Can we meet this afternoon?" And I'm like, "I no, I can't. I just cannot." So it is a lot of phone and email. A lot of phone and email. Uh, I used pre-pandemic. I had a rule that in order to get a loan, like I had to do basically a site visit. Like you got to put your
mm,
eyes on the situation. That kind of
right.
fell along the wayside, and we just got busier. So I would hope to meet in person at
Mm,
least once before loan closing. I would say what I've learned about lending is it's intimate. You become part of the people's lives. I mean, you see tax returns and bank statements, and you hear about the divorce or the health medical bills. It's intimate in a way that I think a
yes.
lot of people don't realize. So
Yes.
when when my best clients, the people I feel most proud of the work I've done with them, I'm almost like an outsourced CFO. Like I'm helping them make
Mm,
a financial. They're calling me 6 months before they want to do the expansion. They're like, "Should I refinance my home? Maybe I shouldn't buy
oof.
this vehicle." And so there's a lot of coaching. I should
Wow.
mention we do have resources. Part of our mandate and the way that we're able to take this risk is that we have resources set aside for me to provide financial assistance.
Right.
Um, but as I mentioned, that can take the place of months of meeting. There is a seriousness factor. I'm not going to waste time with somebody who is very far out. Usually, what happens is when somebody talks to me and we're not ready, I always give people homework. Like, oh, we've had a chance to meet. You just are starting to think about purchasing real estate. You've never purchased real estate before. Go find and talk to three realtors and then tell me how those conversations go. And then we'll meet
Right.
again. Something very basic to
Right.
keep
To
one foot
get them
moving before the
going.
other. Yeah.
Hmm. Eric, I love that because you're so much on the education side of things that I think that people that are serious are your like true and like lifelong clients, right? Because you focus so much. And I love the fact that you said that you once you partner with somebody, you become their CFO. Like, what a beautiful thing to have somebody to call in and say, "Hey," and that's where it becomes a very trusting relationship as well. Right. I mean, that meaning that your advice matters so much to them for them to make that call instead of like their immediate family member calling up an accountant or asking those questions. They feel comfortable enough to go back to you and say, "Hey, Eric, how do you feel about this?" Because you're kind of like the um, um, geez, like the sniper. For lack of better terms, you're like assessing the situation. I can totally see you in that picture when you're talking to a business owner on the analytical side of things, on the providing the best advice to that business owner that is really wanting to branch out and they don't know how to do it. And you fit that role beautifully, Eric. I'm very happy and very honored to have you here on this live stream because I'm all for providing value to people, and I know that these words that you're sharing with the audience are, like people love it. When I had the opportunity to interview Dennis, a lot of people didn't know about this service, right? They didn't know, and so they started contacting Dennis, and now they're going to have you as a resource in the event that they want to open up a farm or a sushi spot. Now they have you. So we have here Jacqueline from Texas. Aloha, aloha from Texas. Um, uh, Jacqueline, I hope that you're enjoying the live stream. We're very happy that you have joined us. Eric, do you have any more thoughts for people that are watching? Um, how can people get a hold of you? And what other tip can you share that you think that people would find it valuable?
Are you going to share my email with? Will that be associated with the? Should I put it in the chat? What would be the best way to
Yes.
get my email?
Yeah. I
Okay.
will put in your email address, but you can share the website. You can share, like, do you want me to just share your info there, put it on the comment section, and then?
Absolutely. And if they go to the internet, it's just feed-hunger.com.
Yes. Yes. And that
And then
way,
my email is just Eric Bowman, um, with a C, ERICBOWMEN at feed-hunger.com.
oh, beautiful. Jacqueline says, spreading the video. Oh,
Wow.
thank you so much for
Honor.
sharing. We're very, very honored, Jacqueline, and thank you so much for joining. Well, you guys, there you have it. I am very, very excited that you guys have now this resource of a contact here on the Big Island, somebody that is a strong partner on the lending side of things if you guys do need financing for your small business. And we cannot wait to have Eric on a next episode talking about other topics. Right?
Love it.
Eric, thank you so, so much. And you guys, we're going to be saying aloha. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next one.
Aloha.